I'm getting a lot of pushback even from his own party. I don't know.
7:01 here in New York City. More fallout this morning over Joe Biden's controversial pardoning of his son Hunter as the federal judge in California accuses the president of trying to rewrite history.
Now, in light of the pardon, more accusations are surfacing about the first son's very troubled past.
All right, Lucas Tomlinson's got the assignment. He's at the White House this morning. Lucas, fill us in.
Well, good morning, guys. That's right.
Before we hear this, isn't it crazy how much we've been gaslit by their the girl, the female, the Haitian female, the one at the White House who just kept saying no. We just reiterate the president is not going to pardon them. He's repeatedly did this. Oh, it's so
The
stupid
federal
now.
judge overseeing Hunter Biden's tax case took umbrage with President Biden's comments, saying that these charges against Hunter were politically motivated. The judge lashing out, saying, quote, "The Constitution provides the president with broad authority to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, but nowhere does the Constitution give the president the authority to rewrite history. The pardon not only absolves Hunter of his tax and gun cases, but also for any crimes or potential crimes committed over an 11-year period." The judge also noted this pardon could be seen as, quote, "exceeding the scope of the pardon power." It's a good thing you have an attorney on the couch there, guys. Biden for months said that he would never pardon his son. That line was repeated at the podium here at the White House by his press secretary for months. Of course, they also said for months that Biden would not be dropping out of the race. Hunter Biden's former landlord says the president's son has been slow to the hip, or Venmo might be more appropriate, stiffing him by over $300,000 in rent after Hunter stayed in.
What is with these rich people? Him, Tiffany Haynyard, they just refuse to pay their rent. Like regular people have robbing Peter, pay Paul to get rent, but these people just
his $4.25 million home in California. Sean McGuire posting to X, quote, "What happens to the $300,000 plus in payback rent that Hunter Biden owes my family from 2019 to 2020? Is that pardoned now?" Perhaps that's a good question for the White House press secretary who's traveling with President Biden in Africa, guys.
That's right. And Lucas, I think it was yesterday or the day before, KJP said that this particular pardon was not vetted through the typical clemency process that happens at the Department of Justice, which is just a couple of blocks behind you.
That's right. Many eyebrows were raised when the pardon covered this 11-year period. That's a large time period, of course. This is not just a pardon for a particular crime. It's everything over more than a decade, Steve.
Parking tickets?
Right.
Or maybe even something more serious.
Maybe.
Right. Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate it. So, number one, question of character. The character, Hunter Biden, who was living free from a Hollywood producer who decided to pay his overdue taxes and let him live with him for free, and I assume pay for his attorney, one of the most expensive and respected in Washington. Now we find out when he was living on his own, while the president was running for president, knowing his laptop was in the FBI hands, he's living in Venice Beach with Secret Service protection, rent-free because he decided to not.
He looked just like his father.
Not pay rent. When people people's investments are in rental properties, especially on Venice Beach. Takes a lot to buy a little, and you have that there. And then when you complain, the Secret Service changed the locks and the landlord's locked out. That's the character of the person. If you are Joe Biden, vice president, and want to be president-elect, and you find out your son is not paying rent. Remember when a nanny or a landscaper without papers would hurt a candidate? Then you have your crack-addicted, hooker-addicted son not paying rent, living for free out on the West Coast, doing your international business deals, all of which is on the laptop that you left at a local repair shop. But having said all that, the fallout has to be beyond what he ever dreamed. And among the people who are his detractors is Gavin Newsom. I completely understand the instinct to protect Hunter, but I took the president at his word. So by definition, I'm disappointed and cannot support the decision.
Well, this federal. A lot of that before they even get started is Gavin Newsom wants to run for president, so he's gearing up. And they lost. Biden, Kamala lost. So he's trying to say, I'm different. This is his first step of listening to what people complained about Kamala. Hey, she didn't differentiate herself from Biden. She didn't say, she went on a View and said, hey, there's nothing I can think of that, I would change. So then they say, hey, we don't want Biden, so why would we want you? That was one of her biggest mistakes. So Gavin Newsom, and you realize how far Gavin Newsom stayed away from them that whole cycle. He just stayed quiet. He never came out and really supported her. So this is his first hey, I'm different from them. I don't do this. Biden thought that Kamala was going to win. And if Kamala won, then he could, maybe she pardon him, or she just make sure the whole thing never kicks off in the first place and everything's good to go and it's hanky-danky and it's tied up. But she lost, so he had to go back on his word and say, oh, God, Trump coming in, he got all these people coming in, and he's really putting all these different people in charge, a new dude in charge of the FBI. Oh, my God, what's going to happen to my son and all these 24-hour classification office and department? Oh, my God. And he just needed to do something. He couldn't take the risk. He's a scared man. He has a legacy and whatever. And never forget, Gavin Newsom and the Democrats who run California cannibalize their own bill, their own reparation bills. They always talk about reparations. They could have had it in California. Look it up. The Democrats in California denied their own bill. It's crazy.
Federal judge is not even taking a position of supporting or agreeing with the pardon. First of all, she said, this is a press release. This is not a pardon. The second thing, they were very upset. The court took issue with them admonishing the court and saying that this was some political process. Yeah. The judge is like, pled guilty. What are you talking about? That this was the plea that he gave. So why are you saying that there's this mischaracterization of justice when he pled guilty to the charges here? And then you're saying that the court would somehow allow a court case to come before.
He's not only just saying like, hey, I'm pardoning my son. He's saying, hey, this judge was in cahoots. This was politically motivated. He's talking about that judge. His reputation is on the line. You don't get to talk about that, right? You don't get to say, oh, they should have been innocent. That's defamation.
For them that is not going to get due process. So there's multiple factors there. I also think when it comes to the legacy of Joe Biden, after he signed the crime bill and put so many people behind bars as a result of that, there is no way he escapes the political ramifications without pardoning all these other people that had similar backgrounds as well. So is he going to do that? I doubt it, because that would be a massive release of people.
Well, and, message-wise, everybody knew he was going to pardon Hunter. But Democrats, rank and file, are esteemed at the approach he took. Because and this is exactly what the judge, Mark Scarzi, out in California said, I'll get rid of it. But Hunter was not singled out because he was the president's son, which is what Joe Biden said. And Democrats question why Joe Biden would criticize his own Department of Justice rather than just saying, look, I am a father, and my son has had problems, and he is now on the straight and narrow. So I am going to grant him a pardon. Democrats would have been okay with that, but just the fact that he blew up the Department of Justice.
And Trump is going through all this, and he went through all this and saying the same thing. So now you're confirming it, like, oh, well, if he's been saying, hey, it's an injustice, this is a political witch hunt, and now you saying, hey, you know what? My son was found guilty, but it was a political witch hunt. Now you kind of reconfirming what they said, and the Democrats like, oh my God, shut up. Oh my God, be quiet before they start looking, before they start really investigating people looking. There's still some, I know I'm just around a lot of Black Americans, and there's some people I know in my families that I love still support Joe Biden and Kamala, and still, you can't tell them no different, but they just won't stop for a second and think about, hey, these people are saying these nice things, what they want to do for the community and everything, but do they actually do it? No.
His own Department of Justice and everybody in the Department of Justice who we've seen so far regarding these judges, they say, Mr. President, you're wrong on that.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think people expected a form of clemency,
Right.
but if anything, it would be in the form of a commutation of a sentence. The fact of full-blown pardon and the 10-year duration smacks of the lack of accountability, responsibility, and corruption of this, frankly, mafia family that has held the country in its grips via the administration for so long. And it is such an affront to the
Mafia
hundreds of
family.
thousands of currently incarcerated people who are eligible for release under President Trump's First Step Act that are still rotting in jail. It flies in the face of all of those veterans, which are the single most rising population in the incarcerated system. What about them? They don't have a famous father that can pardon them. And it flies in the face of those single mothers who are also a rising representation of the incarcerated system, much like the mother of his child that he refuses to acknowledge. Like, everything about this is the
Shots fired.
elitism, the protection, the enjoyment that this family has that absolves them of any responsibility. And every other American has to pay taxes, has to answer to judges, has to answer.
Bomber Bros on the podcast yesterday, Steve, they would have been
apart.
okay with it. If he said, I don't know what I'm going to do with my son, I got to see how this process plays out, and he did it, I think you're right. Democrats would have accepted it. But the ones that for 2 years lauded him for not doing what Donald Trump was going to do and holding the integrity of the justice system up in the Department of Justice, those are the ones who look so stupid right now.
And
that's
Brian,
what he says. Biden, he goes, they trashed Biden yesterday for making defenders of him look stupid with the pardon. Typical lying politician.
Yeah.
Well, and the defenders are the people who said, look, Joe Biden has been very clear. He's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. He did it.
But my question is, do you guys like looking stupid? I mean,
They don't, and that's why they're
no,
saying
they do. They do, and I'm gonna tell you why.
They like
man,
looking
I wanna be
Because
up there.
they do like looking stupid. I'm gonna tell you why. First, it was his mental decline, and it's like, oh, we didn't know. We did not know. He told us as everything was fine. Everybody in the family told us everything, and it says, okay, all right, we're not gonna be shunned again. We look bad with this. Then it came to the part. Everyone knew that he was gonna pardon.
Yeah.
But we had his back. We knew that, and now you guys are saying on the podcast, well, he's making us look. No, you guys are making yourself look bad. Eventually, you have to have some type of curiosity. You got to press the person, and you got to look at their track record. Joe Biden has always done what's beneficial to himself. Now is the grant not going to protect his son?
You know, the guy that
Listen, he's gonna protect his son. But these people, they figure out a way to just like, yeah, I know we've been saying this for 2 years. He wasn't going to do it, but what do you expect? It's his son, right? Like, okay, yeah, but you should say, yo, shame on you. Like, there could be two wrongs. Like, he could be wrong. I guess it's two wrongs, right? He could be wrong and stupid and fucking crazy for lying to us for 2 years and knowing he's going to do this. And maybe the charges are wrong too. I don't think they're wrong. I think that they stuck. And the judge come in like, yo, you ain't gonna just come out and put my name. Like, the president can't just defame my name. That's big. Who's bigger than the president in the United States? So you just told everybody that I'm a crooked judge because it's politically motivated. Like, your son pleaded to this. Because if you're saying he don't and he take it back, we could come back here and put some charges on him maybe. Well, he probably can't because he's charged. But that's just crazy. If the people still support this man, don't think he's senile, don't think that they just put him in, let Kamala in office and didn't give us no other choices in the Democratic Party. They didn't put up RFK. They didn't put up Bernie. They just said, hey, yeah, take the vice president. This is what you got. Like, every step of the line is just like, hey, accept this, accept this, accept this. They just can't lie about it now because they're going so far back and Trump is pulling the curtain back and they just trying to, we see the inside of the machine. And whoever's doing the writing for the Democratic Party is using ChatGPT or something. And it's and they got the free version because it ain't even coming up with nothing clever. I don't know what you think. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. It's crazy.